On this channel, we talk a lot about what makes Fortnite so great, but today we're going to be talking about the least favorite seasons according to the community. Today, I asked the Fortnite community, what is your least favorite season in Fortnite? Drop your least favorite Fortnite season and the reasoning behind you not liking it in the replies, and I will include some in the video. Thank you for your time. We're going to be talking about the worst Fortnite seasons of all time. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. So I'd like to share my least favorite seasons before we dive into everybody else's least favorite seasons. And it's important to note that I'm somebody who doesn't believe that Fortnite has ever made a bad season, so I'm talking like C tier seasons. Off the top of my head, it's either Absolute Doom or Chapter 5 Season 1. And it's because they didn't really bring anything special to the game. Like Absolute, you know what? I think I disliked Absolute Doom more than I did Chapter 5 Season 1. And I know Chapter 5 Season 1 is a little bit unpopular, but the Marvel Mythics were nothing like Chapter 2 Season 4, and it suffered from the issues with Chapter 5. I personally did not enjoy the gunplay at all with the attachments, the bullet drop, but that's just me personally. Other than that, I loved pretty well every single Fortnite season. For a long time, my least favorite season was Vibin, and the Fortnite Remix, shockingly, was one of my least favorite seasons of all time. But again, let's hear what everybody else has to say, okay? Let's talk about the least favorite seasons in Fortnite history. Sherlock Holmes had this to say, and I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, if you would like to join the conversation, follow me on X. We make these videos all of the time, okay? So anyway, Sherlock Holmes had this to say, I started playing in Chapter 4 Season 4. Given that, my least favorite season has to be Remix. That's not by a lot though, the gameplay was overall fun. I only say Remix because the focus on the artist who I could care less about. Guess I understand how it feels for others. It wasn't so much that, well, don't get me wrong, I did not like the fact that all of these artists that I also personally didn't care about. Eminem, I don't mind, but I did not like the idea of like going back to Chapter 2 for the first time and then it kind of changing up and just making it a collab. I personally did not enjoy that, but I could get over it. The problem was the amount of bots in that season. They cranked it up like 10-folds, man. I'm convinced about that one. The most fun that I had in Fortnite Remix was the car glitch where Dagwami was just taking me up in the air all the time. That's my favorite time that I've had in Fortnite Remix, and it was because it was a bug. So I agree with this. This was one of the my least favorite seasons of all time, okay? Trickster had this to say, and I feel like that I have to say this all the time, guys. It's still a bug on the webpage over here. We do follow Trickster back. Trickster, if you happen to be watching this video, we love you. We follow you back, okay? I don't know why it does that. So if anybody watches this video and I am following you, I don't know why X does that. I did not unfollow people, okay? Anyways, Chapter 5, Season 2 was super fun until the Avatar Mythics got added. Waterbending was so annoying to go versus, and if you didn't have it, you lost 75% of the fights in Zero build, and Avatar, for some silly reason, made all of the Greek god items get removed, and that's the main reason why I hate Chapter 5, Season 2. Yeah, I liked Chapter 5, Season 2 when it started. I was with the community on this one when Avatar, and I love Avatar The Last Airbender, and I actually even like the waterbending. When it came to the game, there was no reason to vault all of the Greek god stuff, especially because the Avatar waterbending was infinitely stronger than anything from the Greek mythics. Plus, those weapons got nerfed. I don't like when the theme of the season ends up getting nerfed. I really hate that, okay? And that kind of took me out of it a little bit. So that, along with the issues of Chapter 5 Season 2 was one of my least favorite seasons of all time. I did like it at the beginning. I liked it when I could play with the overpowered stuff, but of course, nerf after nerf, and then they ended up vaulting the season. But I understand the frustration about the waterbending. I personally don't care about that, but it's just those other things I find myself agreeing with, okay? Joseph Muhammad had this to say. Chapter 5, Season 3. I was waiting to hear one like this. If I ever heard a car, I'd be so scared and hide. Also, the theme wasn't really something that I enjoyed. The Wasteland vibes just gave me bad vibes, and you can never forget all of those nerfs. The summer event didn't even have a trailer. There were almost no good updates. 2 out of 10. Oh my god. But the summer event brought Reload. One of the greatest modes in Fortnite history. Okay, I understand the hate for Chapter 5 Season 3, but I am a Chapter 5 Season 3 enjoyer. This is why I liked it, though. That's what's interesting. If I heard a car, I'd be so scared and hide. I loved that feeling. I loved that rush that you get, that a feeling of adrenaline that you get. It's like, oh my god, we gotta hide from that boss car right now. To me personally, that makes the game a lot of fun. But of course, everybody likes different things. Everybody has their own opinions. For me, I personally disagree with this one. I even like the summer update, man. But anyways, let's continue on to the Origin Nala. Chapter 4, Season 2? Oh my god. Hey, Nala. I'd like to have what you were smoking when you were writing this tweet. Anyways, Chapter 4 Season 2 is absolute garbage. There was barely any content, especially with the theme, and the only good updates were with collaborations. In my opinion, this season was completely wasted. It had such a good theme, but yet it never pushed it out to the max. That's what bothered me so much, sadly. I understand that. But the thing is, man, it's not like Myths and Mortals for me. With the collaboration update, made for some of the most fun gameplay that I have actually ever had playing Fortnite. To have all of the mega stuff, which was already a really solid loot pool, that didn't get vaulted. You had all of those great feel-good weapons with the POIs and the Japanese theme. That still kind of felt like it was present, by the way. One of the best POIs of all time. That, along with the Force Mythics and the Attack on Titan stuff and the Spider-Man web shooters. Oh my god. That was actually one of my favorite times I have ever played Fortnite. But again, we all like different things. I mean, when I was talking about Nala smoking, I was just messing around, right? We all like different things, right? It makes sense. This one, though, I completely disagree with. Chapter 4 Season 2 was one of my favorite Fortnite seasons of all time. Let's get into what Dylan had to say. Chapter 4 Season 3. The jungle was really difficult to fight in, and my frames were dropping every time I went in it. The map changes were beautiful, yet I was not a fan of it all being a big crater smack in the center of the map. I wasn't a fan of the battle pass either, to be honest. The skins were not just my cup of tea at all, and I never wore them at all. The only good thing from that season was the loot pool and the weapons added. They nailed the weapons in my opinion then. Another note, if the jungle was level with the rest of the island, it would have been so much better to fight in. The problem was also rotating from storm as well through the jungle, but that's just a personal note. So, I'm obviously in the minority in when it's not only saying that I liked Fortnite Wilds, but I actually like the jungle. And I'm not saying anybody's wrong, okay? Because again, we all like different things. I never understood the big deal about the jungle. So what, it's underground. And I like the fact that you had all of these tall trees and these bushes and the mud. It changed how fights worked. And when Fortnite does that, I personally enjoy it a lot more. A lot of people didn't like the fact that it was underground. I don't see the problem with it. But obviously, again, I'm in the minority about it because most people feel that way about the jungle. I liked the fact that the jungle was difficult to fight in. I liked that you had to worry about people in these high trees and in bushes and there were so many places to hide. I really, really enjoyed Wilds. And I think it's like, Carlo, if you happen to be watching this video, he's like the only other guy, Carlitos Kaizen, links down below, go subscribe to the channel. He's like the only other guy that I know of that like enjoyed Wilds like me. I don't understand it. But again, I'm obviously in the minority for this one. Let's continue on to Headhunter Boy. Wrecked. Now I know it sounds like I hate fun, but I just like this stuff to be at least somewhat fair in a way, but this just wasn't. The idea of the content works, but it crumbled when it was implemented into the game. The summer event basically didn't exist. When stuff got nerfed, it was more frustrating to deal with them than fun. I just hated the OP stuff. I struggled to even win because the meta was more about Car Royale than using guns. Magneto powers were awful, and the content was drier than the lake in the middle of the map. That's pretty good, actually. Again, I understand why everybody doesn't like Fortnite Wrecked. That makes complete sense, and it's just something that I personally enjoy. But I totally get not liking Fortnite Wrecked, especially for those reasons, excuse me. Muffin Man had this to say. Mine is Chapter 2, Season 6. I hated the look of the map, and the tone of the whole season just felt odd for Fortnite, which at the time was super colorful and goofy, but it felt like it didn't fit in with the rest of the game. Again, that's fair. I'm also a Fortnite Primal enjoyer, but there were things about that season that definitely frustrated me. I do agree, though. Most of the map changes were very ugly. I did not like the look of the map at all, and I get that they were going for that Primal look, but I don't know how else to say it. The map was just ugly. The only great thing that come from that was the Spire. The Spire was a beautiful, beautiful POI, but I understand that one, okay? Emmanuel had this to say. Oh, that's a tough choice because I don't really have many seasons I hated recently, but if I had to pick one, it would be Chapter 4, Season 3, Wilds, and I want to go into full detail. I would first like to say Chapter 4 is my least liked chapter. Wow! That's one of the best chapters of all time, in my opinion. Season 1 was okay, but the amount of bugs and performance issues the game had ruined it for me. That's understandable. Season 2 is actually my favorite, but the story disappointed me a lot. So I didn't have many expectations for Season 3. I'll start with the things that I liked. The map changes were good, but the jungle felt too realistic compared to the rest of the map. It felt like a totally different game. And that's the only thing that I liked. The gameplay is what ruined it for me. Having no movement in a season with such a huge map hole wasn't a smart choice. It made the game frustrating most of the time. And the storyline was really lacking and honestly boring to follow. Sloane came back but didn't do anything, and after the season, she basically disappeared until OG. I don't know, I just hated the season. It was lackluster in so many ways. Again, I completely understand that, and I was very disappointed in the Wild storyline as well, because I'm a big fan of Dr. Sloan and Dr. Sloan's storyline. I was hyped to see her come back. You remember when we saw her in the bush for the first time? But the thing was, with Chapter 4, the feeling of the gameplay, and this is a problem because I don't know how many people ended up having performance issues with Chapter 4. I know it happened in Season 1 for sure, but I don't know if it was consistent throughout Chapter 4. I'm very fortunate where I have, like, one of the best PCs ever, and I have excellent internet, okay? That I didn't cheap out on, and I'm not saying, like I understand, like, I'm in a privileged spot to be able to afford it at the time when I did buy it. Thankfully, I ended up buying it before the kid because I could never buy one again now. But, so I never had any of those performance issues. So I think I enjoyed Chapter 4 to the absolute max. I have the max graphics on, and maybe that's why I enjoyed Chapter 4 so much. And I never really considered that one of the reasons people didn't like the jungle was because of the performance issues that maybe happened. But again, like, circling back to what I was talking about, I think that I didn't care because, for me, the gameplay in Chapter 4 was so smooth and so fun, and the mechanics and the weapons, I loved it all, that I didn't care about the storyline. I didn't care where Chapter 4 ended up falling short because the core game was so fun. But that's all understandable. That all makes sense, and I recognize that. It just might be the fortunate spot that I'm in right now, but we do have more opinions to take a look at before we talk about, like, the rest of the people, you know, and their least favorite seasons. Let me stop you for just a second. With a lot of these videos, I have been advertising my supporter creator code, so I ask that if you do not have a supporter creator code that you are currently using in the item shop, you consider using my code Clen. I'm grinding as hard as on YouTube as I possibly can in order to support my wife, my family, and you guys have been helping me a ton. This gives me a little bit of breathing room each month, and I really, really appreciate it. I know I just talked about spending a bunch of money on a PC. That was prior to having a kid. Now life is so expensive, and you guys have been helping me a ton. So thank you very, very much, and thank you for your consideration. Thank you for listening. Let's continue on to what everybody else had to say. The Avengers Hype Guy had this to say. There are so many seasons that I disliked, but I think the season that I disliked the most was Chapter 3, Season 3. At first it was good, but after that it just dragged, dragged. And the summer event, one of the worst summer events ever. Also, the map wasn't my favorite. Battle Pass, also not my favorite. Pretty much everything about Vibin except the story sucked. Vibin for me is my least favorite season, 4 out of 10. This I find myself agreeing with for the most part, but I did like Vibin a lot more than the majority of the Chapter 5 seasons. For a long time, this was my least favorite season in Fortnite. Nothing that came in Vibin was, like, really enough to, in my opinion, like, entertain me with a brand new seasonal update. We had what? We had the Rave Cave. Reality Falls was just okay. It was pretty to look at, but there wasn't a lot going on with the map. Greasy came back. I was never a big fan of that. And the big thing was you could ride boars. And that was fun. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed that. But that got old pretty quick. Other than, like, there was nothing else going on in Vibin up until a little bit later with some fun updates down the road. But man, and the Ballers came back. That was a big selling point. And the Ballers were absolute garbo. I agree with this one. The Fortnite Vibin is one of my least favorite seasons of all time, okay? Sonicverse had this to say. Chapter 2, Season 3. I just didn't like the season overall. The skins didn't look that appealing besides Aquaman, but I didn't get him. The map, while being a cool concept, it didn't latch onto me like the seasons prior. This season added the charged shotgun, my least favorite gun. That's understandable. I was somebody who liked the charged shotgun, but it was a big change in the meta. I thought the flooded map was a very, very unique way to play Fortnite, and I really loved it. It was like playing on a brand new map. But the whole map is water, and I could see that being frustrating for some people. Chapter 2 Season 3 is one of my favorite seasons of all time. That is definitely an S-tier season, in my opinion, okay? Let's continue on. Lawless. From the very start, I just didn't like it. The map changes felt awkward, loot pill felt unfulfilling, and the battle pass was disappointing for me. I just didn't play the season at all. Turned out it was the lowest level since Season X. That's fair. A lot of people didn't like Fortnite Lawless. A lot of people have been burnt out by that season theme. I'm somebody who enjoyed Fortnite Lawless, but nothing about it was, like, really all that special besides the robbery vans. But I don't really have anything to add to that one, man. It's totally a fair take, okay? Chapter 2, Season 8. Wow, again. It's so funny how, like, everybody has their different opinions when it comes to, like, different seasons that they enjoy. Because, again, this is another very strong season in my opinion. I just didn't like that when the mothership crashed, it somehow missed the entire island. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. And there was almost no map changes at all. The Halloween update wasn't that good either. There was a big stage in the trailer, but never showed up in game. I thought the Halloween update was good, but here's the thing. The gameplay for Chapter 2 Season 8 was so much fun. The loot pool and the theme was so much fun to me. The battle pass I really liked that I got over the map changes. I was disappointed, like very, very disappointed, because it seemed like we were going to have, like, these magnificent map changes after Skyfire, right? And coming into Chapter 2, Season 8, I was with the community being like, really? This is the map? These are the changes that we're getting? But thankfully, the season was so much fun that I didn't care, and the updates throughout the season, especially when the pyramid came, the live event, the hype behind all of that, it ended up being one of my favorite seasons, but that's again, it's totally a fair opinion. Let's continue on to what Luke Guy had to say. Myths and Mortals, mainly because of its insane missed potential with the items. Like, we got Zeus and his Thunderbolt and Hades and his chains, while there was so much more they could do. Secondly, the non-consistent theme, like 50% of the season, just felt like an Avatar mini-season. They completely removed all of the items half the season, which was really weird in my opinion. Bullet drop, need I say more? And lastly, all the news that came out, like the bombshell of Donald's interview and the sudden removal of Rarity, really didn't make me excited to play the season. Okay. The Donald Mustard interview and the removal of Rarity, in my opinion, has the Donald Mustard doesn't have anything to do with the season, but the removal of Rarity didn't really make me not enjoy the season at all, but I do find myself agreeing the same thing. Like, there was a huge missed potential. It was a season theme that I've wanted for a very long time, and they missed it and just turned it into an Avatar season. And again, I like Avatar, but when you vault the season theme that I was so excited for, and these weapons were so cool, you nerfed them maybe even before that, and having bullet drop and attachments in the Chapter 5, gunplay, I agree with Luke Guy in saying that Myths and Mortals was one of my least favorite seasons of all time, okay? Pan had this to say. What? That is my favorite season of all time. Let's hear him out, okay? Chapter 2, Season 7 for me. By the time I already had became tired of the map, and most locations were boring to me. There were some locations I still liked, but they had this mechanic where the spaceship would take you to another area to fight players. I liked the mechanic for a day, but after that I just wanted to land at the location I still enjoyed at the time. I think the only new weapon I liked was the railgun. I don't remember much about the loophole, so it must have been forgettable to me. Oh my goodness. I respect your opinion. Totally. But I cannot relate to that one, man. The Mothership minigame fixed such a big problem in Fortnite where, half the Battle Royale map was dead and you weren't, like, walking around looking for people. That's the only season in recent years where that was actually solved. The locations I'll give you, but even then, like, as the updates continued on, the locations are pretty cool. I loved the loot pool. I loved the theme. I loved everything about Chapter 2, Season 7. Oh my god. That is a hot take. But that's fair. Again, we all like different things, right? Let's continue on to what Hector Guy had to say. Started in early Chapter 1, and I don't have a least favorite season, but I gotta go with Mega. We have another Mega, eh? I never got the hype for the season. Overrated, bad weapons, mid POIs, crap augments, POS vehicles, downgraded kinetic weapon, and mid battle pass. Oh my god. Chapter 6 did the theme and everything better. Okay, hang on. Bad weapons? Hector. Mega had arguably the best loot pool of all time. Mid POIs, Mega City was phenomenal. I get it if you were looking forward to it, like, being very structured on the inside. But all the other POIs were great too. The augments, fair, but not crap. It was just a downgrade from the previous season. The vehicles were fun. The downgrade kinetic weapon I agree with, but a lot of people still loved it. And a mid battle pass, a lot of people love the battle pass too. Oh my god, that is probably the hottest take we've taken a look at. But again, as always, we respect everybody else's opinion. It's fair. I do not agree with that one at all. Let's hear what Jet had to say. I would put all of Chapter 5 here, but I picked Chapter 5 Season 1 as that was the season that brought in all of the bad changes in Chapter 5, like bullet drop and weapon mods. In my opinion, it changed the game way too much and in a bad way too, and made me hate the entire chapter as a whole. Unfortunately, I do have to agree with this one. I did not like the gunplay in Chapter 5 at all. I didn't like anything about it, and it really made the entire chapter suffer for me, except Fortnite Wrecked, because then we were just playing in cars, and even the cars didn't have the same bullet drop, right? But unfortunately, I do agree with that. I didn't like any of the changes in Chapter 5 Season 1, but I will say, I think I disliked Absolute Doom more than Chapter 5 Season 1. The Notorious Dog had this to say. Galactic Battle is probably my least favorite season at the moment. It changes a lot. I was going to say Chapter 5 Season 2, but I got me thinking. Reasoning, I'm not much of a Star Wars fan to begin with. The past loot pool, gameplay, and map were all mid. They were mostly just features we've seen previously. That's totally fair. And it's a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but I'm somebody who really enjoyed Galactic Battle. I thought it was fun for the time that we had it. It put a nice spin on the gameplay, and I liked all the Star Wars stuff. I love the Force Mythics, the lightsaber battles, all of that. But if you're not a fan of Star Wars, and I'm not the biggest fan of Star Wars either, I just like the gameplay of it, but that's totally fair, to be honest with you, and I get the Chapter 5 Season 2. It's funny that we've taken a look at so many, like, talking. I think the most that we've seen is Myths and Mortals, and I did not expect to hear that, to be honest with you. But guys, if you want to talk more about Fortnite, then why don't you check out this video on screen right now. YouTube thinks that you'll like this video the best, and I would love to have you over there. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Take care, guys.